Welcome in, everyone, to our deep dive, you know, into the kingdom of Caliburn. It's this really old place, tons of history, different people, different cultures, and oh yeah, magic's a thing. And we've got maps, travel guides, heck, even some whispers from the royal court. It's going to be like your, insider's guide to Caliburn.
What really gets me about Caliburn is how they manage to keep their traditions but still feel so modern. We're going to look at not just the facts, dates and names, but like what it feels like to live there in the cities, in the in the royal court, all of it.
Yeah, I'm ready to be transported. So where is this Caliburn? What's so special about it?
Caliburn, well, it's smack dab in the middle of the Lamorak Valley. It's the oldest nation in the area that's, still around. Think rolling hills, rivers, and the Osric Sea to the south. Great climate, perfectly placed. It's all had a big impact on how Caliburn turned out.
It does sound pretty idyllic, but I'm guessing it's not all, pretty views and easy living. What's it like for the everyday person in Caliburn?
You got it. Caliburn's not, a simple place. Imagine Claren, the capital. It's a busy port city, about 25,000 people. They've got these elven archways holding up human towers, showing how the two cultures have worked together like forever.
Wow, I can picture that mix of, all the different people. What would be the first thing I noticed just walking around?
Energy. That's the first thing, definitely. The architecture's amazing, mix of human, grandeur and elven grace. Merchants are, shouting deals, sailors telling stories, and the smell of, spiced wine everywhere.
This is intoxicating. But I'm also sensing, a formality to things. So what about etiquette? Anything I should know?
Oh, yeah, manners matter in Caliburn, especially in Claren. Show respect to anyone with a noble's chain. You'll recognize the designs. And be careful around the people in purple robes. That's the Oculus Arcanum, powerful magic users. Just a nod is enough.
Got it. Dress nice, be polite, and no staring at the sorcerers. But beyond all the fancy stuff, what do people in Caliburn, actually do all day?
Picture this. Students at the Academy of Wizardry arguing about magic, nobles at the palace for court, and everyone else watching from the, public areas. And then there's festivals every season, music, food. The whole city comes alive.
It sounds like they know how to balance work and fun.
Yeah.
But what about the government? Who's in charge?
Caliburn has this system called the Court of the Land. About 100 nobles and, guild leaders. They decide everything. Markets, festivals, they keep things running. And leading them all is King Tarquin, known for being wise and really good at diplomacy.
King Tarquin, huh? His decrems, that sounds interesting. Is there an example of that, how he deals with their neighbors?
Oh, there's a story about Baroness Dawnbringer from Lyra. Things were tense between the two nations, but instead of, making demands, Tarquin sent help when Lyra was in trouble, offered advice, treated the Baroness as an equal. Shows you a lot about how he leads and how Caliburn deals with other nations.
That's a powerful story. Seems like they value, working together over fighting. But are there threats? Any enemies of Caliburn?
Caliburn has allies, places like Lyra and the Commonwealth of Tyr. But they're wary of others, the Rakara, the Sea Princes. It's all complicated. Alliances change all the time. New problems pop up.
Sounds like walking a tightrope. How does all this, international stuff affect the average Caliburnian?
Even when things seem peaceful, you can feel the tension. We've got a story from a merchant talking about stricter border checks and higher taxes between Caliburn and Lyra. Even basic things like trade can show you the, power struggles going on.
Those little details, they really bring it to life. Any other examples of how, what's happening between nations affects things inside Caliburn?
There's this border town. It's got two sets of laws, one from Caliburn, one from the Commonwealth of Tyr. Really shows you how they can, get things done together, two nations sharing a border, even benefiting from it.
That's pretty cool, actually. Diplomacy at work. Seems like Caliburn's good at finding, creative solutions.
Yeah.
But we haven't talked about, magic, obviously a big part of life there. What's it like, for the average Caliburnian? Magic-wise.
Magic, it's woven into everything in Caliburn. But it's not like a free-for-all. A very controlled, lots of rules, even a bit mysterious.
Mysterious, huh? That's where the Oculus Arcanum comes in, right?
You got it. Remember the purple robes? Oculus Arcanum. They're based in the Violet Tower. Huge building, dominates the Claren skyline. place of, old rituals, secrets, powerful magic.
Okay, getting some, Forbidden Library vibes here. So what is the Oculus Arcanum exactly? What do they do?
They're sorcerers, scholars, some would say protectors. They serve the crown, but they're also very independent. Balanced power took centuries to figure out.
So not just like the king's wizards snapping their fingers and doing whatever he wants.
Nope, not at all. They have their own goals, often kept secret. Think of them as advisors, maybe even watchdogs. They warn the king about magical threats, give advice, and most importantly, protect Caliburn from, well, things most people can't even imagine.
Sounds like a lot of trust on both sides. But was it, always this smooth?
Not exactly. There were power struggles. Kings who tried to control the Oculus Arcanum didn't work out too well. The tower, it kind of resists anyone trying to take over.
So the Oculus Arcanum, they have real power, separate from the king. How does that affect, the average person? Does their magic touch people's lives?
You might not see it directly, but they're there. They've got people in the noble courts giving advice, gathering information. They run the Academy of Wizardry, make sure magic is taught responsibly. And they're always, in the background fighting threats nobody even knows exist.
A subtle influence then, but it's everywhere.
Exactly. Magic is powerful in Caliburn, but it's controlled. Part of the fabric of their society. That balance, power and control. It's a big theme in Caliburn in a lot of ways.
Makes an already interesting place even more intriguing.
Yeah, and we haven't even talked about the different cultures. What makes Caliburn so unique? Remember that children's play, the one about the three powers in the Lamorak Valley?
Oh yeah. The nobles were watching, and their reactions hinted at something, some tension there. You said it showed a lot about politics in Caliburn.
It's like a mini version of how power works in Caliburn. Small gestures, things left unsaid, keeping up appearances. It's a place with a lot of history, and every word, every action can have, consequences you don't expect.
Caliburn might look peaceful and successful on the surface, but underneath, there's more going on. Power dynamics that affect everyone. Reminds you that things aren't always what they seem. Gotta look deeper.
You got it. Caliburn is a kingdom where, where old and new are always mixing, where magic is important but controlled. And those forces are, well, they're always at work, affecting not just people's lives, but the whole kingdom.
It sounds like in Caliburn, even a kid's play can be a lesson in politics and diplomacy. Gives you a lot to think about.
It's a place that rewards people who pay attention, who look past the obvious. And we've only scratched the surface. Caliburn has regions that are as diverse as the whole kingdom itself.
Ooh, like where? Don't leave me hanging.
Well, take the Thalo Hills. Gnomes, halflings, dwarves, they all live there. Known for their craftsmanship, festivals, and, mining. You can find anything there, from jewelry to powerful magical artifacts.
The Fallow Hills sound like a really cool mix of cultures and, trade and stuff. But what about the areas beyond the settled parts, the wilds bordering the kingdom? What are those like?
Oh, yeah. Caliburn's not just cities and towns. It's got rolling hills, valleys, forests, mountains. And in those wild places, you find, well, echoes of the past, ruins, and things maybe you shouldn't disturb.
Sounds like we're headed into legend and folklore territory now.
Maybe. But even in the wilds, you see Caliburn's influence, their laws, traditions, like those recruitment officers we talked about, guarding the borders.
Right, the ones who knew about the different border markers. What do they tell us about Caliburn's, reach and influence?
They're a good example of how they actually manage the borders, especially in those disputed areas. They know all the different markers, what they mean. It's complicated figuring out who's in charge when power is always being negotiated. They're like a physical sign of Caliburn's reach, enforcing laws, protecting their interests, even way out there.
So even in the wilds, Caliburn's there. Shows you it's not just cities and towns. It's a power that goes beyond its borders.
Exactly. Caliburn's influence is everywhere, shapes the land, the culture, everything.
Makes you wonder about the people who, choose to live outside that influence in the wilds, away from Caliburn's control. What about those regions and the people who live there? We've seen the heart of Caliburn, the cities, all the politics. But every adventure needs to go off the map a bit, right? Into the wilds outside the kingdom.
Right. Caliburn's more than just, the settled areas. You've got hills, valleys, forests, mountains. And out in those wild places, you find, well, pieces of the past, old ruins, and things may be best left alone.
Sounds like we're going into like myth and legend territory. What are some of these wild places outside of Caliburn's control?
Let's start with the Rushmores. Big, open moorland, always windy, misty, with those old standing stones scattered around. Beautiful but dangerous. The land itself is tricky. Weather changes all the time. And there's stories about, well, creatures living out there.
Creatures.
Yeah.
And you've got me interested. Like, what kind of creatures?
The stories, well, they change depending on who you ask. Some say giant spiders, others say goblins, gnolls, the usual. But there are whispers of, well, stranger things, things that are harder to describe.
This is giving me like adventurer needed vibes. Would normal people from Caliburn ever, go into the Rushmores?
Only if they had a good reason. Or a death wish. The Rushmores are for experienced people, hunters, trackers, people looking for rare herbs or, other valuable stuff.
Noted. Rushmores are definitely not for the faint of heart. But are all the wild areas around Caliburn so, dangerous?
No, not at all. There are beautiful, peaceful places too, like the Phila Hills we talked about. But even there, in the peaceful areas, you find pockets of wildness, places where nature, is in charge, and old secrets are still hidden.
Seems like wherever you go in Caliburn, you feel the history, like you're walking where others have walked before. What other wild places should we check out on our Caliburn tour?
Can't forget about the Blackwood Forest. Imagine a forest with this gray cloud always hanging overhead, blocking the sun. Everything's kind of gloomy. The trees are, well, they're special. The wood is strong, doesn't burn easily. People want it for, building and crafting.
The Blackwood. The name itself sounds, mysterious and a little scary. What else do we know about it?
The Blackwood? Yeah. Not a place to mess around. All sorts of dangerous creatures. Goblins, gnolls, And then there are rumors of something worse deep inside. They call it the spider.
The spider. Okay, now that's ominous. What do we know about this?
Legends say it's this powerful being that controls the Blackwood. Some say it's a monster. Others a powerful, magic user. Maybe both. Whatever it is. It's got followers, creatures that obey it. You don't want to cross its path.
The Blackwood sounds like it's full of danger and secrets. But I got to admit, it's kind of awe-inspiring, too. A place with ancient power, untouched nature,
It shows you that even in Caliburn, a place that's, organized and civilized, there are still wild places, powerful forces, mysteries waiting to be discovered. It's a place for people who, crave adventure, who aren't afraid of the unknown.
So we've gone from the center of Caliburn to the edges, seeing the cities, the people, the wilds, the mysteries. What a fascinating kingdom.
Yeah, Caliburn's a place of contrasts. Old traditions meet new ideas. Whispers of the past are still heard today. It's a kingdom for people who look deeper, try to understand it all, the good and the complicated parts.
And to our listeners, we say, let this deep dive be your starting point. Go explore, dig deeper into Caliburn. Who knows what you might find?
Until next time, may your journeys be full of amazing discoveries.
Yeah.